What's up, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of Paranormal Activities with your host, Ben Axe, with your host in the studio, live in the studio, Dena. She is back, and very special guest, Jim. What's going on, brother?
Not much.
I was going to say your last name, but I forgot it as I was talking.
Manning, like Peyton Manning.
Awesome.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Jim Manning, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Just trying to survive these days.
It's a weird time to survive.
Yes, it is.
My sister just texted me the other day with a positive case of COVID-19.
Yeah,
and we
she
both-
did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's not what you want.
It's not.
She's doing fine. So
That's
that's
good.
cool. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And she actually just texted me last night, and she was like, dude, my son was asking me about ghosts. And he's like, what, 4?
Yeah.
So,
No. Yeah. Or about to turn 4.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a thing. But anyway,
Yeah,
thanks.
it is.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming in on the show and hanging out. And I'm
Hey,
excited
no
to hear
problem.
all of your stories. I've been to your house once, and it's definitely got some ghosties in it.
Yes, it is.
So
Well, you know, it's a funeral home, so, you never know.
that's a good point.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a good point. So real quick, before we get into the good stuff, this show is represented by, advertised by, I don't know. It is thanks to alleverythingentertainment.com. Be sure to check us out there and check out all of the other podcasts on the website. And be sure to listen to us on all of your favorite platforms, newly including Amazon Music, which is phenomenal.
That is really cool.
So,
Nice.
heck yeah, man. So let's get right into it. So Dena, like I said, guys, Dena is here. She's in the studio with us to ask her questions and give her inputs. You've all heard her on previous episodes.
Yes.
And you can also catch her live every Friday night at 8 p.m. on the show, Marital Nonsense.
He does a lot of cheap plugs.
I do.
Nice you.
You have a lot of nonsense?
We do have a
didn't
lot of
know
nonsense too. Yes.
So, all of that aside, let's get into the cool ghost stuff. I don't have a paranormal activity of the week as I have a live in-studio guest, so let's get right into it, man. So, how long have you lived at your house?
Right now, we've lived there 5 years now.
5 years?
5 years.
That's a long time.
Yep.
And I do remember you guys telling me it was a former
Funeral home.
funeral home. That's pretty cool. And you said you live on the river.
Mhm.
Which river is that?
It's the,
Great Miami.
Little Miami.
Oh,
Yeah, I was thinking
not the
of
great
it.
one, it's the little one.
Yeah. So yeah, we live along the river, and they say a lot of activity happens along the river. If you really ever pay attention, you see a lot of shadows at night, where you see things off the corner of your eye as you're walking. I mean, it's if you really pay attention, you can really see stuff.
That's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
So I've been there a couple of times as well. How long ago was it a funeral home? Do you know?
Back in 1988, it was a funeral home.
Holy shit! That's when I
1988?
was born.
I was one. I was one.
No, that recent.
I'm not telling my age.
No. But that's. I thought it had not been one for longer than that.
Right.
So that's crazy. Like
Now, the
Wow.
previous house that I lived in, which
Yeah.
is in downtown Dayton, I lived there from 1997 till 2015. And it was rehab. The house was built actually in 1897. And it had a lot of history with it. And it also had its own, as you call, spirit. Actually, I thought the house was alive itself.
it has its own
Aura, because you
Okay.
would paint a room and the top of the ceiling would peel until you
Oh.
got the color right and it wouldn't peel. Or if you started taking down walls, you see a lot of people tell when they start remodeling, they'll have all this activity start. It's true. Once you start doing stuff in an
Remodeling.
old home,
Hell yeah.
you'll disturb the
we had
spirit of the house.
very brief conversation before we started recording where you talked a lot about you're pretty handsy around the house. You're
Only when you're drinking.
Yeah, that's true. Don't tell nobody.
but you get to you interact with the bones of the home.
Yes.
And so to me that means that you get to kind of touch the roots.
The roots of the home.
I just saw this. I don't know if you've ever watched the show The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
Yes.
But the dad is also the same.
I'll fix it.
Yeah. So you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
You're
yes.
that guy.
Right.
So what is something in your current home that maybe you were like working on the house or whatever, what is the conversation that you and your house have had?
There's one instance where we were just kind of rearranging the kitchen and doing something in the kitchen, and our TV room, only in the TV room for something, we moved something or we tore up the carpet to see what the wood floor would look like underneath. Mm-hmm. And shortly after that, we smelled cigar smoke.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
That's a common...
It's a very specific smell, too.
Right. And, like, we smelled cigarette smoke here once.
Galen smelled it at his house,
And Galen
too.
smelled it at his house.
Mm-hmm. And it was only in the TV room. Me and my partner, we walked around the house.
The TV room is the one when you're at the bottom of the staircase, you go left?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can also go, when you come through the back door, you go left too into that. Basically, it's a circle through the whole house.
Right. Yeah.
And it was only in that room because we went to the kitchen, we went to the living room, went to the dining room, went back to the TV room again.
Wild.
That is.
It was only in there. And we said, my partner, his grandfather had passed away.
Oh.
And we figured that he smoked cigars.
That's probably what it was.
And when he spoke up, it's like, okay, stop. And 2 minutes later, the cigar smell was gone.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
So here's a question for you. Because you mentioned that you lived in a house for a long time before that, and you had paranormal experiences.
Yeah.
And now your current house has paranormal experiences. So one of the things I've talked about on the show in the past is there's haunted places, and there's also haunted people. So do you think it's possible that you have spirits following you from house to house, or do you think the spirits are separate from that, and they're at each house individually?
Now, the old house that I lived in, I do know that my mother
Okay.
was with me.
Okay.
And she pretty well followed me to this house also. The old house in Dayton, there was 3 spirits. There was 2 ladies and a young child that lived in the house. And unfortunately, the mother and child died in the fire.
Oh, shit.
And there was an elderly lady that actually died in the home. And come to find out, the little child was a prankster. He liked to move stuff, hide stuff from you. But the ladies of the house, if you did something and they didn't like it, they would let you know. Either break a glass,
Oh, yeah.
kill the paint.
They're one of them.
It's one of those deals that, when you start actually working on a very old home, you have to pay attention to it.
Right.
I like the way that you talk about that. Like, because it's a respect thing, right? So what's a color that they liked that they didn't rip off the walls?
Well, back then the common colors were either beige, burgundy, eggshell color.
Oh, yeah.
And when I took over the home in 1997, the city of Dayton had remodeled it.
Okay.
And back in 1897, a Frenchman had built the home. This was the second home on the foundation. The first home burnt down.
Oh, wow.
So the home that I took over was built in 1897 from a Frenchman. I could just imagine what the woodwork looked back then.
Right.
Because they had painted it and all this stuff. And then when I started doing all that, I noticed the change in the house, the feeling of the house, and the way, basically, how the house felt. It felt like it was waking up.
So did it like the changes?
It started to like the changes, except for when I started to go like hunter green in the living room.
Yeah, that's too
the
modern.
paint would peel, yeah.
They can have
Too
that.
They let
modern.
you know.
Dude, I like that. So you said like you just feel the house.
I do. I really. So okay, let's do this because you seem to have a very strong read on things. What does our house feel like to you?
It's very open, very. It's very inviting. It's very warm. It's like you're part of the family, basically. That's how it feels when you
That's
walk
good.
in here.
That is good.
So what creates that kind of energy?
Yeah.
Like, that's like my question. So is it like, why is it welcoming?
It all depends on the how it's built, previous owners, the previous tenants, how they were
In the home.
in the home.
Okay.
And who's still kind of sticking around and kind of, I like that.
Now, if you look at your older homes, if you have a limestone foundation, say your home's built in the late 1800s, if it's on a limestone foundation, limestone will actually record sounds, voices, anything like that.
Really? Because it's porous. I
It's
guess
porous,
that makes sense.
and
Like it
over time,
absorbs.
and it's
Yeah.
been proven in ghost hunts, other activities, anything with limestone, like a limestone foundation, actually records the history of the home.
That's really cool.
And that could be, excuse me, that could be one of the reasons why like older places are considered haunted and new
Because
places
they're just
aren't.
carrying memory.
Right.
That makes sense.
And now new places are like cheaply built, thrown up with, nonsense.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the modern day homes, some people say are haunted, but it's hard to tell because I really haven't been in a more modern home. I mean, late 70s, 80s homes I've been in, but the oldest home I've ever been in is my aunt's. And it was built in the early part of the 1800s.
That's very cool.
That is really cool.
And it had the old outhouse and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I started to notice, because I was probably about 6 or 7, and I started to pick up on things like your peripheral vision. Out of the corner of your eyes, you'll see a shadow or a movement.
Yes.
Don't always disregard that. Just kind of pay attention when you're
Here.
That's like shadow people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Exactly.
a common, and from what I understand, that's a very common type of ghost or spirit or whatever, because as a shadow person, it doesn't create a lot of energy to be that.
It doesn't. So they're not spending energy
Right.
to be.
You're not going to see
physically
like a full
present.
human form ghost in front of you, because
Okay.
that could that requires a lot of energy.
Low
But
energy.
shadow people, it's very low energy.
low
So,
energy.
question.
Okay.
Would you think that you would? So, just based off of the small interactions that we've had, because you can read and you can kind of feel stuff. So, do you think you also have the ability to like maybe spiritually cleanse a house? Like if you didn't like where you walked into, could you make it better? Do you have that ability? Do you think?
I don't have that ability yet.
But you think you could one day?
One day. There's a good friend of mine. She is a shaman.
Okay.
So what does shaman mean?
It's basically
It's kind
off
of like
of
a
Indi-
guru or like a.
no, it's Indian history.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I got you.
Shaman, priest, shaman. She can read. She's a tarot card reader.
Gotcha.
She is a very spiritual person.
She can probably read auras. Okay.
She is very into the four corners.
Oh, cool.
She's very down to earth.
She could be a potential interview.
Absolutely.
If you could network that for us,
Right.
that would be really cool.
But I
All day.
learned a lot from her.
Okay.
And when I started having these ghost experience, out of body experiences.
You've had out of body?
Oh,
Okay.
you don't later.
We're
we
going to
need
be
touch
asking
on
about
that.
that.
I've always gone to her, and she has a lot of ghost experiences. And I've seen ghosts at her home, and her home was built in the early 1800s.
Okay.
And I mean, it's been passed down from family generation to family
Nice.
generation. It's never changed hands.
Oh, so it's
And-
just holding like
And
history.
one day I was over at her house, and I was outside helping her do something, and there was an old man standing in the window. And I asked her, I said, "Who's the old man?"
I'm just saying, like, really fast. Sorry, this isn't like a visual thing, but like when Jim came into my home today,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
decorated for Halloween, and I have like a valance or whatever, but it's just made out of
Like
that
covering over the window.
gauze, like bloody fabric that they sell for Halloween. But this is like a black and white one that I had hanging over the window for a month without issue. Jim walks in, starts looking around. I'm excited for Jim to see our Halloween decorations because he's a Halloween dude. And like as I'm like getting pumped that he's like observing my things and thinking it's cool, the shit over the window falls down.
I mean, that timing's hard to
I mean,
bypass.
and I said to him, I was like, Jim, somebody wants me to acknowledge the fact that they are here with you. Like, you are important to whatever is this person is because
Dude,
they
I'm all
wanted
about
me
it.
to let you know they were here.
Right.
And that's really, that's interesting. So there was a man in a window. Windows are a thing for you, apparently.
And I asked her, I said, "Who is?" And she said that it was probably her grandfather.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So, and I myself, I do know that my mom, I hear her voice every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Same. I got that.
I hear my granny's voice,
Sure.
like when you're not supposed to be, grandson, don't do that.
Don't do that. Do you like smell them sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And my mother, she always wore a perfume called Sunflower.
Oh, that's cool. My mom loved sunflowers. That's really cool.
And I, every time I smell that, it always brings back memories. Or if I'm in a different room, I smell that perfume. It's like she's here.
Yeah, absolutely. How long has she been not?
She passed away in 1991.
And you still feel her this strongly. Oh, that makes me feel so good. Because my mom passed 3 years ago. And my brother's been gone for 7. And so I'm afraid sometimes that
They're going to go away.
Yeah, that they'll leave me. So this is such a great thing to know.
I myself, I mean, a lot of people don't believe in the spirit world.
Right.
But there is.
Sure. Absolutely there is.
I mean...
So it's like they're doing their thing, but they're just on a different plane than you. It's a plane thing, right? That's what it is for me.
I mean, some of them are here for... as a guardian angel to guide us in certain directions. Some here are for unfinished business. Until that business is finished, then they can go wherever they need to go. And some are here for revenge.
That'd be me. If I was a ghost, I'm like, I'm gonna tear some shit up.
Or there's those ones that are, and maybe this feeds into the guardian angel aspect, maybe, but it's the they're caregivers, and so because you are here with their memory, it gives them life still, and so they feel attached to you, and they want to make sure that you are safe, that you are comforted, because they know what it's like to be like separated.
I mean, not only that. I mean, with the human spirit, I mean, it opens up a whole world of different...
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, speaking of spirits, animal spirits also.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about those animal spirits.
So, real quick, you are the first person I've ever talked to who actually has an animal spirit story.
Yes.
And I've heard
in
a bunch...
real life.
Right, in real life. I listen to their podcast called Haunted AF, and they have a segment about it every week called Dip of the Week. I have a bunch of animals I grew up with. Fucking love them. I wish they would come and meow at me. They don't. They bounced.
Better things to do.
But you actually have a dog who...
Actually, I have 2 that actually come back.
So let's hear your stories here. They're phenomenal.
Back in 2018, I had a little Chihuahua mix. She was 19, and she passed away just shortly before Christmas of 2018. And almost a year to the date, we had a house fire.
Dang.
And I got woken up. I was having a dream, and my little dog, her name was Blonders, she was barking in my dream. Her barking turned into a smoke alarm. Her barking woke me up to a smoke alarm.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
And you had her did you have her for the whole 19 years?
Yes, I've had her she was actually born in my closet in the old house in Dayton.
Oh, break my heart some more.
I know, man.
And she was actually the runt of the litter.
Oh, no, so she was so
baby.
small.
She was a little baby.
She was a little baby.
Yep.
And then I have her name was Jazz. She was a German Chow mix. And she actually barks. I can hear her bark. My partner can hear her bark. And it's like an alarm system. If something's not right, we hear her bark and we look outside and there's either somebody walking or there's something happening outside.
So even after they're passing, their job is to still alert and protect.
That's so cool.
That is really cool.
That's
and
neat.
and you mentioned you mentioned the same story with when you had the house fire. Your partner Adam also heard the dog barking in his dream.
He woke up with her barking almost the same time.
That's really cool.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And every now and then, we'll see a shadow.
Like a doggy shadow.
Or a little big doggy-type shadow. Every now and then, out of the corner of their eye, go across the threshold of the door. Or
do you ever feel at the foot of the bed the weight?
I guess they go clumps down. You feel them jump up.
Yeah.
And I'll look down, and there's nothing there, and it's like,
Yep. I had a black cat in high school. We named her DC because it stood for Dena's cat.
Nice. My cat was in cat, so I can't say anything.
I mean, she's just this little black cat that followed me home. And my stepdad at the time was like, if you wake up in the morning and she's still on the porch, we'll keep her. And I got up in the morning to go to school. She was still on the porch, and I was like, so she's mine now? he was like, "Yep."
I can't break my promise.
And yeah, so and the whole house loved her. She was really cool.
Now, speaking of cats,
Yeah.
I had a cat. We called it Ghost.
Oh.
That's fitting.
Yeah.
Well, it was when we was living. I had a bunch of roommates when I was living at the old house in Dayton, and we had this white cat just show up out of nowhere. Came in through the doggy door.
She just lived there
awesome.
now.
Mingled with the dogs. The dogs never barked
Oh my
at her.
God, that's so
awesome.
cool.
She's just like, all right.
She
was-
picked you.
She was there for 6-7 months, and then
Disappeared.
just disappeared. But every now and then, out of the corner of everybody's eye that lived in that house, you'll see a little white tail either disappear
That's
by the
cool.
couch, behind the chair, or through a doorway.
That's really
That
nice.
makes me think she was a ghost the entire time.
Yes.
Almost, yeah.
Like, honestly, it does.
So yeah, DC followed me home, and then she passed away. Maybe a year later. She was sick, and she ended up she had a tumor in her head.
Yeah.
But after she died, that I would feel at the foot of the bed, like on my ankles, where she yes.
Kneading or whatever?
Kneading,
Yeah.
yes.
Kneading,
I
yep.
would feel that for months after she died. It didn't stop. So I had her when I was 17. I got Moomies when I was 19. It didn't stop until I got Moomies. And then it was like I don't have to. Like, I believe that you're safe now, kind of thing. Like, now you have a new guardian or whatever.
Now I can go on and do my thing.
Yeah, like she passed the buck is what happened.
Yes.
And I think that's so cool, actually. Like, to think about it like that gives it a little bit of peace.
That is really neat, man.
Yeah.
All right, so you live in a house that used to be a
Funeral home.
funeral home. I don't know. I can't remember that word. So let's hear some of these stories. You've been there for 5 years.
5 years.
We've been there 5 years, and we've had maybe a handful of experiences, but it's been mostly outside, across the street where the river is.
That's even better in my opinion because I never heard of river ghosts. I didn't know that was a thing until you said that.
I mean, Adam, my partner, he knows a lot more about those type. It's not quite on the dark side,
Okay.
but they keep their distance. It's like I don't know what it is about where our house sits. I don't know if it's
Maybe it's protected.
protected in some way because
Sacred.
there's some. I want to say a geological.
I would agree with that, having been there. So, the first time I saw your house, I felt like, it's like
Heaviness.
butterflies in your chest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel heavy, but it felt active.
Because when we first saw the house, I was like, my heart just like, we gotta have it.
There it is.
Like when I first showed up there, I was like, "Oh, this is a warm. This is a warm
The house
place."
has a warm, inviting feel.
Dude,
There's
It
nothing
does.
bad about
You
it.
walk in.
I've been there once and I was like, this is a fucking awesome house.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you walk in just going, "Yep," I'm down, and that's how you feel. Like you're just like, "This is cool, and this is a nice place to be, and I feel safe here." And you feel it from the street even when you're pulling up. Like, I'm calm. But in this excited kind of active way, but yeah, that makes sense because I feel like what it could be is the home has a significance to that phase where you're passing on.
Because it's not an actual where they do the embalming or anything. It's basically a
The
viewing home.
ceremony. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Basically, it's just a viewing home.
Right.
So it could be respected as a ceremonial place. Yeah.
Because in the last couple of years, we've heard voices, we've heard sounds. Just the other night, Adam asked me if Merlin, one of our dogs, was upstairs, and I said, yeah. And he said, did you hear that voice? I said, what, a man's voice? And I said, yeah. I couldn't hear what it actually said, but I
The
heard
muffled
somebody.
noise.
It was a
Yeah.
muffled voice.
I've had that.
Speaking voices on that same subject at the old house in Dayton, which was my most active house I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was my very first home that I ever had because I fell in with the architect the year of the home. And when it was built by a Frenchman, the history of it. And I knew there was going to be a lot of...
So the way that I'm reading you tell this story, it feels like you saw this not as like a not as a challenge, like I'm going to take this on, but as an intellectual exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of
Right?
of the Haunting of Hill House when you see the house and you're like, oh,
I see it
Yeah.
as this.
Mm-hmm.
You see the way that the wife sees,
right.
because she sees it. She's the architect. She sees what it is, like what it can be, what it was, what it is now,
Right.
and she basically tells her husband how to do it.
Yeah,
so
it-
you're both of those people in one.
Yeah, it took me 16 years to get the way that house
Jesus.
was. 16 years.
And then you moved out.
It moved out.
And you put all of that time in, but you know
Moved
what
out.
you did? You built a relationship with it that got it to trust you, and then you got to give that to somebody else that didn't have.
Unfortunately, it's vacant
Oh,
to this day, and it's so it. I haven't been past it. I went past it probably about 2 years ago.
And it broke your heart.
It broke my heart,
Oh,
and I
that
can't
sucks.
go by it again
Yeah.
because I put it. Because last time I went by, the fence was down, the porch was starting to cave in.
No.
Just starting to rot.
Somebody busted out the windows.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I mean,
They say the worst thing you can do to a house is not live in it.
Yeah.
It's just going to sit there.
It'll just rot.
Yeah.
Have you been to Josh and Bree's new house yet?
yes,
Do you not love it?
love it.
It's beautiful. It's adorable.
It's very homey. It's very
energy.
family. The energy is full.
Clean and
Oh,
happy, and
I
like
love the bathroom door.
Sprayty.
The bathroom door is my favorite. The sliding bathroom door.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the
And
best
they're-
thing.
I love the
Bidet.
upstairs. Love
I
the
do too,
upstairs.
man. Yeah.
Oh man,
That feeling upstairs is like
peace.
peace.
Dude, if I had that,
Put in.
I
Shit.
just put a big TV in there. And
I just would never leave that room ever. I thought the same thing. Like every time I've been there too, I've been there a couple times, and like you feel it, and then you're just kind of like, I don't want to go home.
Exactly.
It's a
I
happy
live
house.
here now.
It's a happy house.
And you can, but I'm so excited for Josh and Bree because out of everybody that I know, they deserve it the most.
Oh. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
They deserve it the most, but I can even tell, feel off of them. I think they seem a little bit happier because they live there.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, they're a lot happier there.
Yeah.
A lot happier.
It's so.
I mean, the day that I helped them load the U-Haul and actually moved into that place, when we arrived there, I could just feel the energy from the house.
yeah, like on the
And-
front porch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like tall ass ceilings too. It's
Yes.
Those
I know.
ceilings are fantastic.
Yeah, my old house had 12-foot ceilings.
That's awesome. We have 8 and it sucks.
Yeah, no, the house that we
That's
live in
not
now,
very
it's got 8-foot ceilings. So
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
whatever.
This standard nonsense.
Then you got these friends that are 7 foot tall, try to go through the doorway, and they have to go down and go through the doorway.
So, when was the first time that you realized that maybe you could feel your way through the history of a home?
When I bought my first home back in 1997.
How old were you? I'm asking for your age, I
was-
guess. But,
I'm 51. There, we
all
got it out of the way.
I don't do math, so.
I think I was in my early 20s, or
Early 20s?
30s, somewhere around there. I
When
can't
you
remember.
started to like realize.
feel it.
Realize, I mean, there was a lot of things when I was in the military I picked up on when I was aboard ship.
Okay.
I could feel things or see things out of my corner eye, but back then you really couldn't say anything.
Yeah,
Sure.
but what was that like to be on the water?
Um,
Did you feel the ship or did you feel the ocean?
you felt everything.
all of it all the time? Okay. Yeah, well, you don't really get to ground yourself out there.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
I
it
bet
was
that was
metal against
overwhelming.
water, and
Right.
you really couldn't really ground yourself like you can with Mother Earth. I mean, you could put your bare feet to the ground and basically ground
Connect.
yourself.
Yeah.
There was some scary events that I couldn't explain. Things that I saw, lights, apparitions,
Like, what do you mean lights?
like not UFOs, but that's a whole different subject.
Sure. My last episode is actually UFOs. Last week I did UFOs, yeah.
It's I don't know. It's like a ball of energy that you can just see come up out of the. Because I have night watch, and you walk the decks outside and do the sounding of the fuel tanks, and you can look out in the ocean at night, and it's pitch black.
Oh God, that's so scary.
And then you can
Sounds
see this
awesome.
like
Yeah.
just a ball of light just form
In the ocean.
in
I've
the ocean.
heard that before. I've heard other people, I haven't talked to them, but I've heard like
The stories.
Reddit, yeah. Like I've Yeah.
So
So,
does it
it's just a
come
ball. It's a ball of energy. It's
out
all
of
it
the
is.
water?
Out of the water.
Really? Does it scare you, or is it like awestruck?
It's like an
or-
awestruck because it gives you that feeling. It's like you've always read the stories, and you've always seen photos, but when you actually experience something like that, it throws a chill through you.
Because it's just you and this thing.
And you only. You try to explain it to somebody else. It's like they look like, yeah, right. You're nuts,
But if we really break it down, it's kind of like being in outer space, like how removed they are. They say being in the ocean is the closest
similar,
thing on
yeah.
Earth to being
out in outer space.
in outer space. And then, but in the same time, like you have these really weird, can't explain.
I feel like every
phenomenal
astronaut that
events.
has been out in space has like a UFO weird alien story.
Something, yeah.
And I feel like it could be similar with
the
being
ocean.
out in the middle of the ocean. You
Sure,
see
why not?
things because it's wide open.
Yeah.
And there's so much energy. Like I've been in the ocean. If you've never been out in the open
Not
ocean,
where you've been.
but just
But
being
out
on the
there.
ocean, I can't not look at the ocean when I'm there. It's like mesmerizing.
It's its own thing.
So like you can just. I can my experiences with the ocean are it is a fucking active living thing.
The ocean itself, the water,
Right.
is
It's
living.
alive. I mean, it's alive. It's got its own heartbeat, its spirit. It's got a couple of experiences that I've had is, I don't know whether it's some kind of spirit that's in the ocean, not Poseidon or anybody like that.
Sure.
But something. And if you
something.
think about it, like Poseidon could be have been made up because somebody believed so much in
They can just feel the energy, so
Yeah.
their ration is well, it's got to be
it's
a
gotta
god.
be a god.
You
You
know?
know?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, there's been several times where, being a young person aboard ship, and your captain comes to you and asks you, are you willing to jump overboard for a drill, an actual real drill?
No, I'm not. Thank you.
I'll do it. I mean, that sounds like fun.
I'm gonna stay on the boat. Fuck off.
And
Fuck off. I've seen Titanic.
the very first time I volunteered for it, because the next port we pulled into, I got 3 to 4 day liberty.
Oh.
And
So you
so
earned a day off.
I earned a day off.
There you go. Can't beat
But
that.
the first time I did it, I heard my mom. The
No.
first time I jumped off, she says, "You're going to be fine." And
Nice.
after that, I didn't. I panicked at first.
So you were scared, and then
I
she
was-
came in.
You're talking about almost a 20 to 30 foot jump from
Into
the deck
the water.
into the
Right.
water. That all depends if the water's not rough and the ship's rocking
like-
back and forth.
Sorry, like, okay.
Good point.
What
Yes,
about
that's what you-
sharks and stuff? Like, I don't want to be
That's
that
just-
guy, but I'm going to be that guy because one of my favorite movies to watch is The Meg.
with Jason Statham
Yeah.
and Dwight Schrute.
By
But
the
anyway,
way, he punches it in the face.
Jason Statham does. You know how you
But
be.
no, what about, like, I would be terrified of the
No,
wildlife.
the fall is scarier than any.
The only thing I have ever experienced is dolphins.
Really?
They'll get you.
Did they, I mean, are they aggressive?
No.
Okay.
Are they nice?
They are actually a protective.
Nice.
They're like
If
the,
dolphins are around, that means there's other stuff around, or they're there to play.
Nice.
so they're like dogs. They're water dogs.
That's
They're
awesome.
water
That's
dogs.
really
That's what we nicknamed the dolphins aboard ship is water,
Water
dogs.
dogs.
Aw.
You know, I could see you being good with dolphins. You're good with dogs, so I bet you were good with dolphins too.
I had one experience with the dolphins, and that was the third time that I jumped off.
So you just like went all in. You're like, all right, I did it once.
I'm gonna
I'll
keep-
do it every time.
Well, it got- it got-
Bitches, I'm jumping every time.
but every time I did, and I landed in the water, and when I was underwater, I heard my mom's voice.
That
She's
is
gonna be okay.
so cool.
That is really cool.
And that's when I knew that my mom was going to be with me, because she passed away in '91. I was in Desert Storm, and I got the phone call.
Oh my god.
I got pulled into the captain's cabin with my top engineer, and they said, "You're going home."
They did. That's what they started it
And
with.
I flew home on the red-eye flight. 24 hours later, I landed in the States and at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and went directly to the hospital in my dress blues and saw my mom, and I went with her wishes, and I actually went home. She actually told me to go home and sleep.
That's what they do. Remember, my uncle Mike's mom died.
I went home, and I was at my dad's house, and I remember sleeping, and I woke up to go see her, but I saw her at the foot of my bed.
Yep. She wanted you to leave because she couldn't do what she needed to do while you were there.
And she said, "Go back to sleep. You're fine. I'm okay." And about 3 hours later, my stepmom come in and woke me up. She says, "You need to get to the hospital now." And when I got there, she had already passed away.
Yep. She sent you away.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right?
Yes.
She sent
I knew that. Just when I saw her at the foot of my bed,
you know.
I knew.
So when she passed, is that when you could start feeling
Things,
the house?
Yes. I could start feeling things, feel the house. I really don't talk about it much because, I don't know how people react.
Sure.
Yeah, we are exactly the same way, yes.
That's why this show exists, really.
Yeah, because he wants to talk to people like us.
Well, from then on, I can pick up on things, and my teacher that I had in high school that I still have friends with over almost 20-some years now, she has taught me a lot how to focus in on things. And
The one that adopts black cats?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yep. And she also adopts stray animals. She adopts...
So, when your mom passed away, and you could start feeling your way through things, so I'm going to kind of like phrase this, or frame it a little bit differently. So, I feel like, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like what could be the case is you've always been able to feel stuff, but it started to become very defined after your mom passed away.
I do believe that's when it really started to pick up, because after that...
It made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like being underwater and hearing people talk and then coming up above the water. And hearing people talk, right? That's what it was like for me, too. When my mom passed away, it was like I went from being like, I can kind of hear some muffly stuff sometimes.
So I wonder why that is. Like, what happens when, like, somebody you're close to passes that opens up that gateway?
I think it's because you're hanging on to that relationship. You don't want to let them, and they don't want to let you go.
A lot of people don't know that they have it until
that happens.
Until that happens, or some spiritual thing happens, or something.
When they need it.
Right.
When they need it the most.
Yeah, and that's a interesting. So then, when you started to realize, like, kind of interacting with a home, was your mom like a big home, like a kind of caretaker?
She kept the home clean. She mowed the grass.
Oh boy!
I wish she mowed the grass.
Now fuck off! I
she kept the house when we had the house in.
And you do that, and you invest into a home the way that you saw your mom invest into.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Absolutely.
So
that's why I love Halloween. I love Christmas.
Anything with decorations.
Any kind of decorations.
Nice.
I mean, I've taken after my mom.
This is really interesting. That's an interesting...
Because when things really started to pick up with me on the spiritual side with the ghosts and the spirits and stuff is when I actually had the house in Dayton.
Yeah.
When you're like taking care of it, doing your thing with it.
Trying to figure out what paint was the best.
And there was one experience I had the teacher over. Mm-hmm. She came over to see the place, and I had a friend from California come in. And they both came to the house, and we, in non-windy day, nice outside, had the doors open, the windows open. We're sitting in the dining room, just chit-chatting. All of a sudden, the front door slams, the back door slams, and you hear the wind come through up the stairway.
I can feel that.
Right? Like,
And we're all, because we all three believe in the spirit world.
Okay. Yeah, so that was an intense little gathering.
And it was like, all of a sudden, we all kind of looked at it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, yeah.
Well, later on that night, I was sitting in the family room, in the dining room. The dining room has a stairwell that goes up to the second floor. Mm-hmm. And clear as day, woman in white, long black hair, came out of the kitchen and went right up the stairwell.
I don't fucking think so. Bye-bye. Nope.
What
I'm
is
out.
that
I am
about?
out all day. I am out.
And after that, I couldn't find my keys.
Oh, no.
I couldn't, and I was sitting watching TV. I had a family member over. They didn't believe in ghosts.
Oh, that's fun.
Well,
so you had to
once-
pretend like nothing
You mean,
was happening
let's
all the
rephrase
time.
that statement. They didn't believe in ghosts yet.
Yet. Yet. Well, let's just say after the night they came, they brung pizza over, and we sat watched TV, and it sounded like my whole kitchen cabinets had fallen because you heard glass break. They get up and they go to the kitchen because it's a straight shot from the TV room to the dining room to the kitchen. I mean, it's like a shotgun house. You could just see right straight through. Cabinet doors were shut. Nothing was broken. And then later on, sitting down watching TV, you can hear footsteps upstairs, and we're the only ones in the house.
This was in your home in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
was this so the 3 people that were there were spiritual believers, but so was this like early on when you first started kind of digging in and it was talking back?
Talking back.
And it waited until you had friends.
So like the house does have like its own personality.
It's
Yeah,
its
it's
own
own.
being. That's an interesting
I don't want to
thing.
call it a residual haunt because it was actually active to where it actually intermingled with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's
A
its own
residual
thing.
haunt is when something just repeats
Sure,
itself.
on a loop.
repeats
With or
itself.
without you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, because the child was the jokester, because things would move or hide. I had my fingernail clippers on my desk, found them in the bottom of the hamper.
Nice.
My car keys underneath the kitchen sink.
So it has like a conscience, the house does.
That's insane.
That is insane.
And so after, I think about the 3 or 4 years I've been there, I started doing actually research on the house. And that's when I found the oldest deed, 1897. That's when I found out there was a house prior to that, but there was no deed to that house. But this was the second house built on this foundation.
Gotcha.
And that's when I found out about the house fire, the mother and child that died.
Is this the limestone foundation as well? Okay, I knew that was significant. when
And
you
then there
mentioned
was
it.
an elderly lady that died in the master bedroom that I had set up my bedroom in. But there was nothing bad about the spirits. But there was one instance when my partner Adam was there. There was a black figure when I went to bed. There was a black figure standing in the corner, and it darted, and it actually blew the curtains out of the bedroom. I had curtains across the bedroom door, and it blew the curtains out.
So you could, so all
You
it
could
was like
actually
somebody
feel-
going through. Right.
And that was the first time I've ever seen a physical.
And that's high energy.
That's
Remember-
and it scared me.
There was one time a couple months ago, it was probably been closer to 6 months now, when I woke you up
Yeah.
because I felt something here. And it was exactly like you just described. It was exactly like that, but it was in this corner over here. I got up, I couldn't sleep. I'm really bad insomniac. And I got up and was like, I'm just going to like munch on something. And I came down here to get a snack. And while I was down here, when I went to walk down here, that approached me from the corner at the bottom of my stairs. And I'm thinking, I have to act like I don't see it so that it knows that I'm not afraid of it. And I have to just keep going about my business, even though my leftover Pizza Hut breadsticks
They were important at
are
the
the
time.
last thing that I want to look at right now. And then I get down here and I just like grab my breadsticks, like I'm fine, it's fine. And I'm like, I grab my breadsticks, I grab a water, and I'm like psyching myself up in the kitchen, run up the stairs like a 4-year-old about to pee my pants, jump in bed, wake Ben up. I need you to sage now.
It was like 3 a.m.
It was, and he had to work the next day. But I was like,
Well, after
I cannot. You got to get rid of it, make it leave.
I
Make it leave.
came down here, I bounced that ghost. It
You
was
did.
cool.
But I mean, it was like, and you didn't treat me badly or anything. It was like,
No, I believed you. I came down here.
I was
felt,
so terrified.
Dude, I
and
felt-
if he was to act like I was making it up, it would have been awful.
No, I felt that energy. I came down here.
Yeah.
I felt that negative energy. It was, and it's one of those things. I feel like, especially with us, particularly because of how what you can do today, is people are attracted to spirits or whatever. So like some of the spirits that we have in this house and the apartment we lived in before this house, they won't be here again. They weren't here before. They just, she can hear me.
I'm gonna go talk
I'm
to
gonna
her.
go talk to her.
Yeah,
And then we have to address it, and then they're gone.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was one of those instances. I think that whatever that was like I'm gonna fuck with her.
Yeah.
And,
here's a beacon.
Right.
Like, it's a light. They see it.
I haven't felt him since that night.
Me neither. It was not.
So whatever,
it was a she.
Whatever that was is now gone.
It was evil as shit. I'm just saying. It was
after that
terrifying.
instance that night, we
What
saved.
year was it?
It was back in 2012, 13.
That's not long ago.
That's not.
Yeah.
So you saged right away. Yeah.
And that
you
helped?
have to.
That helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
The atmosphere in the house and in that room changed dramatically
Within minutes.
within minutes.
Yes.
I never believed in saging until
I made you start
until
saging.
a few months ago.
He said he wanted to do this podcast, and I was like, then you're going to have to start believing in some of the rituals that spiritually cleanse. Because, before you thought it was silly. And
I was wrong.
and you weren't.
I'm all in now with the
I
saging.
was like, there is something to a sacred ritual, and it is just respected, and you just need to make sure that you come at it with good intentions, and it works. And
Exactly.
that's how it is.
I mean, if you look throughout history,
everybody does it.
You can't deny that spirits don't exist.
Correct.
All
I
day.
mean, not, religion-wise. I mean, whoever you believe is as the great creator is.
What did I just say to you the other day about religion?
Um,
I love this guy. He talks everything that I believe. It's fantastic.
I look at it as this way. I mean, some people say, I don't believe in spirits. I do believe in spirits. It's to how they are raised and brought up. If you're open-minded to things,
Yeah.
you'll see a lot more to this world than what's in front of you.
If you're closed-minded. Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like some people are just I love the word sensitive. That's my go-to word. I feel like some people are sensitive, some people aren't.
Or politically correct, sometimes, as some people say.
Yeah,
Sure.
sensitive.
Yeah, I just feel like some people can feel it, and like some people can, some people just can't feel it. Like they want to. Like I want to see a ghost, I just haven't. And then some people, I wish I didn't see ghosts, but I see them all the fucking time.
Oh, when I was younger, you've seen Ghostbusters. You've seen
Right.
this.
Yeah, you
I
wanted
want
to
to see
see
an
it.
actual real ghost.
Right.
And for the longest time, I've always seen things out of the corner of my eye.
Right.
But the night that I saw, when I was sitting in my TV room at the old house in Dayton, and when I saw that lady in the white dress and long black hair, I couldn't see her face, come from the kitchen, go through the dining room, and up the stairwell.
Let's talk about that, because that is a thing. I've seen that. I've seen a woman with long black hair and a white nightgown. And apparently,
A lot of people have.
that is a common thing. Like, I listened to one of their ghost podcasts, it's Haunted AF, and a lot of their stories are that. So, why? I want to know what that is. Like, why are all of us, why are so many people who are sensitive to the other side seeing a woman with long black hair and a white woman? You know what I mean?
I
And a
tell you
white
the truth,
gown.
I really don't know, but
Yeah.
there was nothing frightening about it.
Well, mine was
it
scary. But,
It was the one I saw. The hair was flowing. It was
Ethereal.
it was almost like you can see the dress. You can actually physically see, but you couldn't see. You could see the hair, but you couldn't see her face, but you could see her arms.
gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like almost like a wedding gown.
See, mine was more like a nightgown. Like, that's why I saw a
So
nightgown.
here's what I'm hearing. He's got a very positive, light, beautiful thing.
Right.
And then you have this, like, Walmart discounted.
Well, which-
but it's like the evil version.
No, it makes
she wants
sense.
to be this one.
Because the house, when I saw that, I saw her twice, and I was in a very negative environment at the time.
Yeah.
So,
So you saw the Walmart version.
right. So when you saw the positive version.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I mean, because
He's got the Gucci vision and you got the Walmart vision, and that's how it worked
I mean,
out.
that at the
Up for
house,
Kmart?
if and also if you like to cause karma, karma will come and get you either in this life or
the
next
next
life.
life.
I believe in karma all day. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, there's a black cat.
No, I get that.
Hey, she hasn't crossed your path yet. She's still walking at you.
So let's. I think we should make this a two-parter, and like wrap this episode up and then start the next one.
Do you want to do that?
I do. Do you?
I mean, we can,
Is
sure.
Jim okay with that?
I'm up for that.
Okay, cool.
All right, so
We're just now scratching at the top of the
just so
surface.
people don't like see a 3-hour show and not watch it because of the length, we're gonna go ahead and end this episode. I don't remember what the number it is; it doesn't matter. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Paranormal Activities presented by allethingentertainment.com. check us out there. Check us out on all of your favorite platforms. You can follow me at Facebook, Twitter, recently on Instagram. That's a new thing. And check out all of our stuff.
Oh, God.
And at the end of the day, guys, let's just keep learning together.